So joining us now to help us understand what all of it means is Dr. Brian Kelly, Associate Professor of Economics from Seattle University. Great to have you here in person versus
Thank you for
Zoom.
inviting me to the studio. I love being here.
Well, I'm curious what you think of the jobs numbers. They exceeded expectations. What does it say about the underlying strength of the job market right now?
Well, the jobs numbers are very much in line with the last 12 months. So if you took the world on January 20th, at the time of the inaugural, inflation was down, jobs were growing steadily, and what we're seeing is a continuation of that. While they may have exceeded expectations, the job numbers, a little bit, that's not the important aspect of it. The important aspect is that the numbers have been consistent over about 12 months now.
And then even unemployment held steady, 4.2%. Is it a sign that the job market's still healthy, or are there some hidden weaknesses that we should be looking out for?
Job market is still healthy, but it's definitely hidden weaknesses. What we're seeing is various other reports are suggesting that the number of open job postings has decreased considerably. Number of layoffs has increased. It simply hasn't shown up in applications for unemployment, which is what generates the job numbers. But more importantly, the new policies of the last 102 days to count haven't really had time to work their way through the economy. And I think that's the big story. What's going to happen to the jobs, not in April, but in August, September, October?
And that explains all of the consumer uncertainty that we're feeling now, because no one really knows what's going to happen. We're anticipating what we think might happen. We have seen, you mentioned layoffs, we've seen lots of federal layoffs, but there's been some hiring in the healthcare sector, in transportation. Which industries do you think are most at risk because of the tariffs that are coming this weekend and potentially in advance?
The industries associated with moving stuff. First off, obviously the ports, including the Port of Seattle, and then truckers are also potentially going to be hurt by that. So that's where we'll first see it. Then what we have to remember is the tariffs apply to goods, not services for the most part. And so it's going to be any goods-related industries such as retail, both online and bricks and mortar retail, where they're actually selling physical goods, will be affected by having to charge higher prices. I'm also seeing a lot of reports of retailers saying they just won't have availability soon, which surprised me a little bit, but that of course will affect the economy and cause a slowdown.
Some tried to get ahead of the tariffs by ordering and stocking up, but at some point if the tariffs kick in and these smaller businesses can't afford to pay the tariffs, their shelves will be empty. When do you think we should expect that?
The tariffs have started wending their way through, for example, the port system. I think probably middle of next month, the inventories that have been built up will start diminishing. The other thing we have to remember is the so-called de minimis rule, where people can order directly from China and get their products, is ending. And so what we're going to see among U.S. consumers is we're not going to be able to hit Temu and so forth directly and order. And I think for the U.S. consumer, for many people, that's going to be the first impact. You're going to suddenly find that if you really want that sweater and you just want to one click and buy it, maybe you won't be able to.
So for everyday workers, for everyday families here in the Northwest, what should we be taking away from the information that we have as of today with unemployment, the jobs numbers, the pending tariffs? What's the takeaway for us?
Well, a few things. First, I think that the idea that you should go out and buy big ticket items that haven't yet increased in price, well, look to your personal finances. Don't make hasty decisions. But if you know you're going to buy a car or a washing machine in the next year, it's probably a good time to do it before the tariffs have their time to work through. Second, the personal consumer items that we normally order online, some of them are going to disappear, and some of them we're going to be seeing these very high $150 per package sort of tariffs go into place quite soon. So those are two takeaways. And then the other is the uncertainty around everything. This massive uncertainty may start affecting business sooner or later. It's hard to say. And then we do have to start worrying about an economic downturn combined with inflation, the worst possible combination.
Which I was going to ask you as my final question. Do you think that we should be bracing for a recession?
I think we should be cautious about a recession, and we should be cautious about inflation. Yes, in a word, why avoid the question? I don't want to be one of those economists. Yes, I think we should be bracing for a recession, but I don't think it's going to happen soon.
How do you define soon?
Probably not before end of this year, early next year. That's my feeling.
We'll definitely have you back many times between now and then to just assess where we are as it changes week by week.
I'll probably regret that forecast.
Well, if it's true, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And we appreciate your being candid with us. Thank you. Brian Kelly from Seattle University. Get used to seeing him because you're going to be here regularly, and we appreciate you very much.
Thank you very much.